present you my Viva and it's on the topic the use of first language Sinhala in learning English grammar for writing purposes, and it is based on a case study for 20 students. So the contents for today's presentation will be the introduction, the research gap, research problem and its objectives, summarize literature review, methodology, results and findings, conclusion and the references. So if we discuss why this topic, the study focuses on the impact of using Sinhala, which is L1, when teaching English grammar L2, and this is conducted as a case study in an international school in Kalutara district using 20 students for grade 6 students. And the research gap is the lack of studies on the use of Sinhala in English classrooms, the limited research on grammar-specific learning through bilingualism, and the limited studies conducted focusing secondary school students. And we will be further elaborating these points in my literature review. The research problem is discussed in 3 points. It is the low English competency among students, English only instruction which is seen as a barrier for learning, and the neglected role of mother tongue L1 in teaching English which is L2. There are 2 research questions. Those are: what is the impact of Sinhala on students' understanding in English, grammar for writing purposes, and how productive Sinhala knowledge is in English grammar learning. My research aims and objectives are as follow. It is to observe the best medium of instruction in teaching English grammar for native Sinhala students, and to examine the impact of Sinhala on students' understanding of English grammar for writing purposes, and also to evaluate the extent in which Sinhala language knowledge is contributing to learning English grammar effectively. So let's discuss my summarized literature review. This will be discussed in 4 key points. The first one is the theoretical perspective on L1 using L2 acquisition. So Garcia and Way, Krushen and Marco have emphasized the role of L1 in L2 acquisition, but they have not specifically examined the impact of grammar learning. So now there will be a research gap in order to explore the relationship between L1 and L2 in acquiring grammar, which is crucial, but it is not an explored area in the Sri Lankan context. While moving on to my second point, that is the empirical studies on L1 using L2 classrooms. So here, Turnbull and Daly Oaken 2009 emphasized the need for a balanced use of L1 to support L2 learning while maintaining exposure to the target language. So in Sri Lanka, they have done research by Kumarage 2021. He has done the same research using university students and in a rural area. So it shows that it haven't been done in the context for school students. So that is the research gap again. And the third point is that teacher perception and practices. So teacher perception and practices here, Sari 2014 is highlighting that teachers' beliefs about L1 use direct influence to their teaching strategies. Now in Sri Lanka, some teachers find L1 beneficial for explaining difficult concepts and managing the classrooms, while others believe it reduces exposure to English. TAN 2002 found translation is helping students to grasp complex ideas accurately and it prevents misunderstanding. Hall and Cook 2012 recommends flexible and context-sensitive teaching methods that integrate L1 effectively. So they all emphasize the need for teacher training programs to help educators to have a balanced L1 and L2 use appropriately. And if we go to my last point, that is the student perception on using L1, Debris and Oman 2016 found that student perception of L1 use depend on their educational background and the proficiency. So when we take it to the Sri Lankan context, Vikramasinghe and Disanayake 2018 have discovered that rural Sri Lankan students see English as a language of elite, creating psychological barriers to learning. But my research is examining on the students' social and psychological attitudes towards English, the role of Sinhala in understanding English grammar, which is still remaining unexplored. So this study is aiming to fill the gap by analysing how Sinhala influenced grammar learning in Sri Lankan schools. So let's discuss how I have done this. This research was done as a mixed method, combining both qualitative and the quantitative data. So if we discuss about the qualitative data, it was gathered by conducting a pre-test and a post-test to students performing in simple present tense. Meanwhile, qualitative data was gathered by interviewing students to get their perception on English grammar and asking for difficult levels and the mode of instruction. The research setting is an international school in Kalutara district, Sri Lanka, and we have divided the students to two groups here. The sample is 20 students, grade 6 students, and the two groups are English only instructions and the other group is Sinhala English instructions. So the process where I have done this is pre-test was given to assess learners' existing knowledge, then the instructional phase took place for both the groups, and finally the post-test was given and an interview was taken place. So the results and the findings of English only instruction group for quantitative data. If we check the results, the overall performance for the pre-test was 9.8 and the overall performance for the post-test was 12.6 with an increment. If we take the results of the Sinhala English instruction group, the overall performance for the pre-test was 6.6 and the post-test was 11.0. Again, it shows us an increment. If we check the average difference, English only group has 2.8. Meanwhile, English Sinhala group has 4.4. If you see, there's again an increment in the average difference as well. Then if you check the qualitative data analysis, so most students found English grammar challenging. But Sinhala English group said the grammar rules were easier to understand with the Sinhala explanations, and they rated it with 2 to 3, indicating it easier to learn due to this bilingual instructions. But when it comes to English only group, they rated it as a bit difficult, within a grade between 3 to 4 due to the understanding problem, and they also get mixed responses. So the limitations that I had was the sample size was smaller because there was a limited student number, and students have varying cognitive abilities that make it difficult to conduct an accurate analysis of the performance. And also my research only focuses on the grammar learning area. There's no other areas we can do, like listening, speaking, reading, and this also measures the immediate learning outcomes, not the long-term impact of the bilingual instructions. And the bilingual instructions also depend on their teacher training and the teaching styles. If we discuss about the final conclusion of this, so this study reaffirms that Sinhala can be an effective facilitating tool in English language classroom, especially in Sri Lanka, where English is both a subject and a medium of instruction, and a bilingual approach reduces learning barriers, making English lessons more accessible for different type of learners. And these are my references.